Sorry, a call came through, interrupted my goddamn thing, so I had to make a second part. So the second bill, okay, that they want to try to incorporate nationally is the Life Begins at Conception, right? Act, National Abortion Ban. So let's go to that. I got that queued up. Now, this is also on congress.gov. Drop down the first menu to legislation and put in the search bar HR 431, Life at Conception Act, right? Now, what this bill wants to do, let me try to read the summary for you. This bill declares the right to life guaranteed by the Constitution is vested in each human being at all stages of life, including the moment of fertilization, cloning, and other moment at which an individual becomes into being. Nothing in this bill shall be construed to authorize the persecution of any woman for death of her unborn child. That's bullshit. They just put that in there because you do have individual states, right? Since the ending of Roe versus Wade, who have literally put bills in on the floor to take the life away from mothers who have either had a complicated miscarriage or a stillbirth or a high-risk pregnancy that ended in the death of the fetus. They're full of shit. There are states right now trying to pass bills to either take the life of women, put them in prison, or just let them die because they don't want to provide them with actual service or medical treatment to assist them in an abortion to save their lives. We know this to be true. So that's bullshit. And this is how they lie all the time. So now, what was I getting to? So this is the call for the what is this called? HR 431, Life at Conception Act. This bill right here is they want to make into a law to create the national abortion ban. The important part, guys, about going to congress.gov to read these bills, the most important thing is to, when you get here, there's like a burgundy brown box above a white box that tells you, it's the overview of the bill, right? It tells you the sponsor, the person who wrote the fucking bill or who introduced it. It tells you the committee, where this person works, like what committee. Now, this particular person is a Republican. His name is Mooney Alexander. And he introduced this bill in January 20th of 2023. Remember I told you about that earlier in the previous video? And his committee that he works in is the House Judiciary Committee. So he literally makes he's part of the committee that passes bills, creates bills to have them become law. Go through the process of being voted on in the Senate, voted on in the House of Representatives, sent to the president to be signed to become a law. Or if the president vetoes it, back to the Senate and the House to get, I think it's a 2/3 vote to pass it. And he's dangerous, okay? So this is what he wants to do. So when you get familiar with dealing with this website on congress.gov, you're going to go beneath that box. And you're going to see how many tabs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 tabs, right? The first one is summary. The second, text. Third, actions, titles, amendments, co-sponsors, committees, related bills, right? Related bills are always good to read because most times when they get about 4 actions on this bill is heading towards becoming a real law, right? That's when, if you're not fighting to stop this law aggressively, you want to always look at the related bills because it's always another bill that's an extension of this bill that is just as ignorant, just as stupid, and just as violating of your rights to make sure that you don't have any power, to take more power away from you. So when you really start going on these websites, and please, black women, start making this part of your regular routine. Just the same way you come on to TikTok and YouTube. Come on, Senate.gov, Congress.gov. Go reading around in here in these bills. And you will literally start to understand who are the bad guys and who are the ones that actually care about the people. This is how you do it. And you go into that congressional record in that first drop-down menu, and you look at how these people voted on things that affect your life. This is serious shit. And this does not take protesting and being active and seen and fucked up by the police in society and on neighborhood streets. This takes you sitting down, spending a little time reading what these fucking representatives are doing, and then literally creating an account on this website, signing in, and in the box for a constituent, you can either vote for the bill or against the bill. Do it. That counts. When they go to vote, they look at those statistics, right? Because it gives them a feel for where the people are at. And currently, most black people and people who feel like my vote don't count, they don't do this shit. So your vote really doesn't count because you're not participating, right? And this is how they get a feel for, can we be this ballsy? Can we try to push some shit like this that we know is really going to cause some fucking trouble and some harm? But if the people sleeping, we can get away with it. You don't want to be sleeping. You want to be on these websites watching every fucking thing they're doing for the next 4 years, because they're trying to take all of our democracy from us and turn us into, they keep saying oligarchy, but this motherfucker wants to be a tyrant. I don't know why death is not coming for him or Father Time. Like, how old is this motherfucker? God damn. He don't live forever. So anyway, this is what you want to do. So now that I've, read to you basically what this means, right? Let me go back and do the summary for the other bill. So, because I didn't do that. I was like reading the whole fucking thing. But let me go to summary, right? I was reading the text too much. So the summary of this House Bill 8281, this is the SAVE Act, right? Let me go back to it real quick. This bill, they claim, right? Now this bill was in this bill was passed July 10th, 2024. So this bill is already a problem, right? So you need to get with, let me just see all the actions. Hold on. Let me just see one thing. Pass the House. So that means you got to pass the Senate. Introduced in the House. All right, so one part of this bill is already done. It passed the House, okay? If it passes the Senate and it gets signed by the president, it's going to become law. So, efforts didn't work with the House of Representatives, but efforts could work with the Senate, right? So, go to the Senate, put it in the same, let me go, hold on. Senate.gov. All right, let me see. All right, let's get in here. HR, what was it? 80, 82, 81. Let's see. All right, let's put in SAVE Act. SAVE Act. All right. Legislation bills. Let's all right. Where is it? Sorry, y'all. Trying to find it. All right, let me type it in here. Save. Is it coming up? Yeah, it came up. And I forgot to tell y'all, when you go to the Senate, right, those same bills gonna have a different number there, so you have to search it out. And in the Senate, this is HR 256, the SAVE Act, okay? And here, when you go in here, you'll see the ridiculous ass Republicans who introduced it in the Senate and who may be co-sponsors and who normally are co-sponsors of the original person that put it together. So I want to check to make sure it didn't pass. No, okay, this bill passed the House, so we can't do nothing about that. But it's in the Senate now, so it just has been introduced. Okay, so it has to go through 1, 2, 3, 4 more steps. It has to go through passing the House, passing the Senate. Well, it passed the House already, so that part is done. But where it's at in the Senate is, it was introduced, it passed the House, so now it has to pass the Senate, go to the president, and then become law. So this is why you have to, and remember I told you about those related bills? Right underneath the SAVE Act in the Senate, they have another bill right underneath it, which has some amendment acts to the SAVE Act. So this is why you want to read all this stuff, okay? Because this further tells you what they're trying to do. And whenever they mostly put bills through where they're playing with your right to vote, they're taking away your ability to have any say in the country you live in. I want that to be extraordinarily clear. And y'all got to understand where this shit is going, right? Let me get back to the article I wanted to read, but let me just keep expanding. This SAVE Act takes away a woman's ability to vote, right? If it goes through the way they want to. Not every woman, but a huge amount of women, because a lot of women, when they get married, they don't keep their maiden name. They take the surname, right? So that means that now they got to go through a lengthy process to change their name, change their name back if they want to vote. And by the time they complete all of that, the voting process will be over. The elections will be done. They know this. This is why they're trying to introduce this dumb shit. In addition to that, the way that they're always talking about, oh, you know, America is too modern for them, right? We going forward in time, in the time they've created, right? But they want us to stay in the past. So they feel like women being independent is a problem for them because men are not in a position to be oppressive and suppressive to women, and they're not in possession of women anymore. So they're trying to take us back to that time where women have to be dependent on men by always talking about this head of household and nuclear family bullshit, right? So that they are trying to move towards a thing called a one family vote. And a one family vote, when you go through and read that whole SAVE Act shit, right? And it's a lot, but do it, because you're going to be blown away by what you read, right? When you read it, you'll see that they're trying to move towards a one family vote act, meaning the man is supposed to be the head of the household. So whatever that man thinks in that household, whether it hurts the wife, the woman, or the children's rights, they don't give a fuck about that. They just want that man to have the ability to speak for everybody in that house and disregard everything about those other members of that household's humanity. Because as long as this motherfucker gets to be the king of the castle, that's all they care about. And all they care about is if they get to keep the foot on a woman's neck and make sure that they get free ass. They have access to ass, and they got access to free labor by, I got this woman over here, I can fuck her when I want to, make her clean up my house, rape her into having my children, and treat her like she ain't shit, and nobody's gonna do nothing about it because there's no laws to protect this bitch. This is what they mean by this SAVE Act shit. That's what they mean by that. Because there's really no need for this shit, because we already have laws, federal laws that say or dictate you have to have valid ID to vote. So you don't need this shit right here. But it is a way to cut back, reduce, minimize the actual amount of voters who actually do fucking go vote. And this will allow more misogynistic men to run to the booths to vote for everything against women, so that we literally end up being fucking serfs inside motherfuckers' homes. Do y'all know what a serf is from Greek mythology? It is a fucking slave that comes with the property you live in, that tends to your house care, your home care, your land care, and your sexual care. These are people that when you were reading books like about Aristotle and all the rest of those fucking gay, women hating, He-Man hater club member motherfuckers, these people literally held that role for women and little girls. They would chain the women and girls to the property, and whoever bought the land or the new house or whatever, those people came with that land. That's a serf. So literally, in my opinion, this is what they're trying to take us back to. Because if they're trying to stop you from voting, which gives you a voice in your society you live in, they're trying to take away your right to education by destroying the Department of Education, right? And we going through that today on the news. And then they're trying to take away your right to employment by trying to make DEI a bad word because, it means black people are getting great jobs when they're not qualified to get it, in their opinion. Because that's not what the fuck DEI means. DEI means giving everybody the same fucking opportunity unqualified, undeserving white folks get in every job they apply for. They make more money than everybody else, whether they could do the job better or not. They get the privilege of their skin, not based off of their merit, ability to do the job, or real education. It's bullshit. And this is just more of a way to push back people who are not the white people they want to succeed in this country. Because even poor whites, they don't give a fuck about them either. So this is an issue that we need to pay attention to. So let me get into this little quick reading of both these bills that they want to make laws that's going to take away our right to vote the way that we can right now, and trying to push for an abortion ban that will really take the lives of so many women and girls in this country. It's not going to be funny. And the stupid part about these white dudes is that they don't understand that trying to force women to have children is an automatic death sentence for women and children. They don't understand that. Because they like to fuck 10-year-olds and 12-year-olds, right? You know that a 10-year-old little girl and a 12-year-old little girl has a very difficult time delivering a baby. She mostly dies during that process, and the baby dies as well, most times. But they don't want to tell you the true statistics of that because it would scare the fuck out of you and traumatize the whole fucking nation. So they only show you the rare cases when those little girls survive and deliver those babies. Because their bodies are not physically able to do that because they're children. They're not full-grown fucking women. Huh? So anyway, let's get to this summary real quick. Cut it out. The Safeguard American Voter Eligibility Act, SAFE Act, has been introduced in the United States House of Representatives. This legislation will require all Americans to prove their citizenship status by presenting documentation in person when registering to vote or updating their voter registration information. Boom. Right? All right. Then it goes on to say, stop Buddha. Specifically, the legislation would require that the vast majority of Americans to rely on a passport, birth certificate to prove their citizenship. While this may sound easy for many Americans, the reality is that more than 140 million, let me repeat that number again. The reality is that more than 140 million American citizens do not possess a passport, and as many as 69 million women, who have taken their spouse's name do not have a birth certificate matching their legal name. Booyah. Y'all got it? That is what these sick, evil, twisted, diabolical, medieval motherfuckers sat down and said, how can we fuck over women and make it seem like we're helping them? Oh, I got it. We're going to say that they need to have ID that matches their birth certificate when there are over 69 million women that are married that have taken their spouse's name. So right away, we could already count them out of the voting period or voting or elections at all because they can't qualify. So now our chances of doing and getting what we want get 69 million people greater. This is the fucking mentality behind these sick motherfuckers. And the way that you get around this is so simple. Women, and especially black women, divorce these motherfuckers. Get your name back. Stop marrying these motherfuckers at all costs. Stop having children. during this entire fucking administration, because they're going to try to press your ass to make babies, to make money for them while you get poorer. Don't think I'm playing, because it's real. Because I know American history very well. Let me tell y'all something. He's fucking with tariffs. Even though he's pushed it back with a couple of countries for a month or two, it will kick in, y'all. The same way it kicked in during the Great Depression. And let me give you a reminder of history, because history in this country keeps fucking repeating itself, right? So during the Great Depression and this Gilded Age, where they had all these rich motherfuckers in the country owning everything, monopolizing everything, they was rich as fuck. The regular everyday person was eating out of the garbage can, killing and stealing from each other just to survive. It was disgusting in America, all right? It was real, though, but it was really disgusting. If you ever seen this real gross movie called The Gangs of New York, where the Irish was fighting against the Polish and all this shit, watch that movie. That's exactly the type of times they want to be back, thinking that it was great. No, it wasn't. It was very hostile, savage, and brutal for poor whites, and more hostile and brutal for black people, okay? Because you had the most race riots during that time. Anyway, back to it, right? So, they fuck with the tariffs back in the Great Depression, killed the fucking economy, killed the banks. Then they said, okay, we done fucked up everything. So know what we're going to do? We're going to try to put money into this shit to make it come back alive. That didn't happen. That made shit worse, okay? The economy tanked even more because they don't think the way we think as poor people. They only think about their rich buddies, right? So they like, okay, you know what? We'll give money to the banks. How many times have we seen this with the bank fucking bailouts, right? We're going to give money to our banking friends. We're going to give money to our construction friends, our business friends, everybody who making money friends. And the thing that we always neglect to do is give money to the motherfucking people of the country and of the states that have to generate the money in a cycle to make the system run. We need to go from the city to the state to the federal to the state to the city. We got to do that 360 wheel to make sure that money runs in that circle and generates for everybody so that all the clogs move on the machine at the same time. They don't think like that because they really don't give a fuck about us. But they forget one important thing. Rich people don't take care of other rich people. They need poor people to do that for them. They don't think like us because they're fucking dumbasses. And this is where the problem always comes in. All right, we done with that one. Now let's go to, did I get let me see. Oh, to let you know what that was. That article came from online newspaper. Let me see. I belong to so many, y'all. Oh my God. It's called, I'm sorry, CAP. The name of this news publication is called CAP. The article was done January 31st, 2025. It was last updated on February 3rd, 2025. The name of the article is "The SAVE Act Would Disenfranchise Millions of Citizens." Now, the reason they had to say that, millions of citizens, instead of millions of women, which would have got your fucking attention, is because people are being overly politically correct now. And they have to be extremely anti-black while pretending not to be because of Trumpy. All right. So now, let me see. Did I get... I'm supposed to have another one. Oh. So mind you, going back to the... What is this? Life Begins at Conception Act, right? I went to the National Institute of Health, right? Because they write articles as well. And when was this one last done? Let me see here. This editorial was done in 2022, right? So this is the last one. And I tried to get a more recent one on this, but not really. They were just talking about the actual bill, not the impact on the people. So anyway, this is what it says. So here they're saying, this is the National Institute of Health. Their article, their editorial is saying, is it worth repeating? Right away, it's giving you the fucking point, the stand that they're going to begin with the damn article from. They're like, this is bullshit. Is it worth repeating? They letting you know, we done already done this shit, homie. It don't work, right? Is it worth repeating? Life begins in conception. Is a religious, not scientific concept. We as women, I'm gonna read that title again, but I'm gonna talk some shit, right? Is it worth repeating? Let it resonate. Life begins at conception. Is a religious, not scientific concept. Now here, we as women know, those of us that paid the fucking attention in biology in middle school, actually read books on women reproduction, right? Read books on the latest things in our OBGYN's office, medical journals about women's bodies and all the things that are new that they're finding out, the research that this fool shut down the other day, and all the things. When we pay attention to this, right, we already know that's not true. Life don't begin at conception because for those of y'all that don't know, a woman's body works like this. She has all the eggs that she's ever going to need in her lifetime to have as many children as she wants to. And that has been imprinted in her DNA inside of her body from her grandmother. Not even her mama, but from her grandmama, okay? So this is to show you how the blueprint on life is so fucking strong. Okay. So now, when she decides that, he's an alright guy, or fuck him, I just want a baby for myself, right? Okay. She goes, let me try sleeping with this dude to get pregnant. Her body goes, oh, we trying to reproduce? Okay. The eggs will say, okay, sperm, come on up here. Audition yourself, right? To be chosen. Her eggs decide what sperm is stronger, that has everything that egg needs to make a viable, healthy baby. When it does that, a whole bunch of cells come together to begin the process of life. Is that life? Fuck no. All right? No. And if you watch any PBS special on the human reproduction, they will walk you through every stage, okay? It's a clump of cells that come together. That's not a baby. That's not a fetus. That's not life. Many times during that phase, something goes wrong. A mutation occurs, and all of those cells that came together to begin to form life decide, uh-oh, we fucked up. Abort, abort. Dismiss, expel. And one day, a woman goes to the bathroom. She don't feel very well. She sits there and she releases a big clump of blood with a whole lot of stuff in it. That's what our incredibly magnificent bodies are able to do as women. So when this article starts by saying, is it worth repeating? Life begins at conception is a religious, not scientific concept. That's what they're talking about. A clump of cells is not a baby. A clump of cells do not mean life has already started, because there's a period where all that shit could happen and then stop abruptly and leave the body. So that's not true. So now let's get back to in this article, right? So they're saying now, it's difficult to get over the shock of the reversal of Roe versus Wade. It really is, y'all. Because let me tell you something. I forget the name of those women, but it was a group of women from Connecticut. There was a whole movie done about these women, a group of white women that fought for abortion hard, and they actually formed a national abortion alliance through this country for women to have back alley abortions before Roe versus Wade was passed. My grandmother knew about it. She was part of it. Girl, you talk about the Underground Railroad. These white women and black women organized every fucking state with a state. There was more than over 1,000 women in each state that could put your ass on the table and take that baby out your stomach. Now, did you have people that didn't know what they doing this as well? Of course. But these women had an actual alliance. And if I'm going to look it up again, and once I find those women, I'll make a video about that as well. But this is real history. So anyway, yes, it's difficult to get over the shock of the reversal of Roe versus Wade. The decision to allow individual states to restrict access to abortion is wrong, unfair, inconsistent with the societal values on so many levels that it's difficult to focus on just one. It's real. Because when this is making me emotional because I was actually raped as a little girl, right? So, fortunately, I didn't get pregnant. He must have been shooting blanks. So, but anyway, and I say that in the most derogatory, mean-spirited, I wish this nigga would come be resurrected again so he could be killed again for what he did to me. But anyway, there are many little girls where they actually do become pregnant. And people are not taking into consideration the trauma of being raped. Now you have to carry a child when you are a child and you don't understand what's happening to your body and you don't want this to happen. Then if you're able to survive the actual delivery, which the majority of them little girls don't, right? You have to look at something, and I'm saying something, talking about the child, the infant, that reminds you every day of something horrific, traumatic, spirit-breaking, life-altering, self-destroying that happened to you repeatedly. This if the little girl is not helped to overcome the trauma, and if they don't just get that fucking baby out of the house, like send that kid, put that baby up for adoption, let it fucking die in the crib of crib death, something, right? Or give it to another family member. I mean what the fuck I'm saying right now, because it is that fucking painful to little girls to be violated by grown-ass men. And I'm speaking from fucking life experience. So fuck you if you have another opinion. All right, so let me woosah a little bit, right? So, if those things don't happen for that little girl, now we have the dissociation mentally that happens between her and that child. We have the feeling of being forever a fucking victim. This is where her mental health begins to deteriorate, and suicide may become an option, and also murder-suicide, because this is the reality of this shit. And this is the stuff that these dudes that make these laws do not give a fuck about. They don't care. And then after you get past the individual injury, you add insult to injury when you think about the extenuating factors of this shit that happens to these children and these women that don't want this to happen. Now, let's say, like that 13-year-old little girl in Mississippi who was forced to have the baby when Mississippi refused to give her an abortion even though she was raped by a stranger. They didn't allow any of the exemptions to be exercised in this little girl's rape, right? So now this little girl has a baby. She poor, her mama poor. Her mama can't even afford to really take care of her at the time. Now, they add an additional burden on this woman's household, this woman's life, and now to a child's life. Just because you locked up a motherfucker that raped a child don't mean shit. It don't no way take away the devastation and destruction this motherfucker brought to this family. Okay? So, this is all the other shit that they don't think about that is a reality when they restrict a woman or girl's access to abortion. And what these people mean, what the National Institution of Health means when they say, let me read it again. The decision to allow individual states to restrict access to abortion is wrong, unfair, and inconsistent with the societal values on so many levels. It is difficult to focus on just one. Now, just think about what I just said. There's so much more that happens to what I said. You know what I mean? Because you got to factor in, when you're talking about black households and there are actually black males in them, these little girls and women are always, and you fucking heard me when I said always, they're always subject to violence. 99.9% of us are subject to the sexual assault and sexual molestation, right? But all of us, 100% of us, are subject to violence. Even if the nigga just run around screaming and throwing shit all day and never put his fist on you like all of them usually do. But if you have one of them crazy motherfuckers that just be yelling and ranting and throwing shit at your head and smashing and punching walls, it's the same fucking violence. They don't give a fuck about that either. And they never want to listen to black women and girls when they say, we ain't fucking with them, because they not right in the head, and their hatred for their blackness and their mental conquering by white men to take away their manhood, we are not allowing that shit to dominate our fucking households and make us crazy and have some nigga in our house beating us half to death and fucking our children when we at work or we sleep, or they done drugged us to the point where we can't get up to help defend our children. No, because that's what happened to me. My mother had a boyfriend after my father died. This guy didn't even wait 6 months for him being around us. He wasn't living with us, but he was spending nights, right? He got my mother drunk, passed out. I guess he put some type of Quaalude, whatever. I don't know what the fuck it is. Date rape drug, whatever, because I don't know that kind of stuff. I don't do drugs, right? My mother was incapacitated to the next fucking day. Around 5 something in the afternoon, she did not fucking wake up. Okay? That ain't natural. I don't know what the fuck he gave her. She was out all the rest of that evening, that night, that morning, till later that day. And me, I sat at the foot of that bed, soiled, trembling, shaken by the trauma, and everything else. Pissed on myself and everything because of the fear I went through, right? And I sat there waiting for her to wake up to tell her what happened to me. And when she did, of course, she took appropriate action. She actually went through the house with a knife looking for the motherfucker, but he had left. She called the cops. The cops did what they had to do. They took me to the hospital. They ran the Vertulo kit. They did everything they were supposed to do. The rest of that shit is another story I don't feel like revisiting right now. But these are the things that people do not think about that happen in real life to people when you pass stupid fucking laws like this. This is why black women and women in general, get your ass up. Make it clear to your representative, we do not want this shit to be a nationwide abortion ban. This is harmful to women. This is harmful to girls. This is harmful to the nation on a whole, because every woman is not going to let some man forcibly take them. So now you're going to have women going to jail, catching a case for taking somebody's life who tried to violate her body. All that shit could be avoided if you just not do dumb shit like this. Let me just read a little bit more in this article so y'all see, right? Or editorial, right? So they go on to talk about women. So now they're saying, unfortunately, not long thereafter, the fetus was found. What? I got to go up a little bit more. Sorry about that, y'all. I will share a personal anecdote. One of my patients suffered through many years of fertility treatment and finally achieved a viable pregnancy. Okay, good for them. Beautiful. We celebrated the reassuring visualization of the fetal heartbeat on ultrasound. Unfortunately, not long thereafter, the fetus was found to be not alive, okay? This is the thing I was talking about earlier, when all those clumps of cells begin, but they're not really life. They just form into become life, right? All right. It stopped. So anyway, we commiserated over the terrible luck. She terminated the pregnancy and moved on to further treatment, right? She's strong, because I think I would have been devastated. I would have gave up for a little while. I would have had to regroup and come back. But that's a strong woman. Woo! She really wanted to have a baby. So now I remember, let me read that again. She terminated the pregnancy and moved on to further treatment. Now I imagine, what would have been the scenario if she lived in a state which prohibits abortion? She would have died. She would have literally died, because let me tell you, when your body goes through a high-risk miscarriage, you need a DNC. You need for a doctor to go up in you, clean out all that excess tissue, everything that's still sticking to your uterus that should have came out with the majority of the stuff that made it out that got left behind. When you do not have a DNC, have those people clean everything out, you're going to die of sepsis. Your body is not able to expel all of that stuff stuck to the walls of your uterus. It's not. It's not. It's not a period. It was the beginning of reproduction, so that's a whole different story. It don't just come off the uterus that easy, right? So as the woman sits there with a lot of that stuff left behind in her, she's going to start to get blood poisoning, infection, bacteria, da-da-da. She's going to turn colors. She's going to have complications performing the actual things it takes to live, breathing, eating, going to the bathroom, and she's going to die. That is what happens to women. And it has been happening to women for centuries. That happens to women when you leave the placenta in their body after giving birth. They will die as well. And it also happens to women when they have a partial miscarriage that needs to be completed by the doctor and it is not done. She's going to definitely die. That's what happens. So when he asked the question, or whoever wrote this editorial, what would have been the scenario if she lived in a state which prohibited abortion? Absolutely death. Absolutely death. She would be forced to carry the pregnancy to term, even though the child would not survive. That's in one case. One case. And she still could die in that case. Because to walk around with a dead fetus in your body, breaking down inside of your body as you live every day, will create the same sepsis and other things. Anyway, they're talking about, see, this is the issue with a lot of this stuff. Now, this is the National Institute of Health, and they're not even being honest. They're doing a lot of fluff here because they don't want to scare the shit out of people when they tell people the truth, but they should tell people the truth because then the general public would understand this is a stupid fucking law. There would be no way I'm voting for this shit. And I'm going to call you up, representative, and let you know you better not dare think about voting for that shit. What? This is what's going on. So, all right. Let me skip that part because they trying to go the beautiful outcome. No, that's not usually what happens. The nasty outcome is normally what happens. All right. So then they talk about she would choose, if, let's say the lady's baby was born dead and she birthed it, she all right. Now let's say before she got to that point, she was like, okay, I can choose to do this instead. So this is what they're saying. She would choose to travel to a state with less medieval laws. I find that extremely funny because that's very real. Because they literally were doing this type of shit to women in medieval times. For all you people that's into the Bible and love religion, look up abortion during the Crusades. Look at what they used to do to women during those times. So when this person put that in this article, they literally was talking about things that were worse than what's happening today that was actually done to women in history in a particular time, the medieval time. All right? It was disgusting, the shit they were doing to women. It's so bad and shit was so horrific that when you go to certain museums, and I've gone to certain museums and I looked at the medieval devices, the torture machines they used to put women on. Do you know there's still blood stains on those fucking things to this day that can't come out? Do you know how traumatizing that was for me to look at something they put women inside of? And when they show you the closed version first, and then there's another version of it open. And when I'm looking into the device, I'm saying to myself, is that fucking blood? Yes. This shit is not a joke, women. Black women especially, this is not a joke. Okay? Because they think we're more expendable than anybody else. So if anybody's going to get more fucked up, it's going to be us. This is not funny. All right? Let's get back to it. Oh, where we at? Where was I at? All right. So she would travel to a state with less medieval laws. The scenario of being forced to gestate against her will and without any sort of logic fills my medical brain with a deep sense of anger and unfairness. especially in the view of obvious observation that only those with a uterus are faced with this shocking societal abridgment of personal choice. That's head on. Because have you ever thought to yourself, why is it so important for these dudes to force women and girls to have children, but they never force men to have, or males to have vasectomies, or to castrate males who violate children? And I don't mean just no fucking chemical castration. I mean cut their dick off. Cut it the fuck off. All of it. Give them motherfuckers a colostomy bag and let them keep it pushing. That's what I mean. It's some bullshit. It is some real bullshit. So anyway, let me get off this goddamn video. But look here, y'all. Congress.gov, Senate.gov, SAVE Act. Catch it. The one that's still pending in the House right now that you could get, because we missed the SAVE Act, is Life Begins at Conception Act. Let me hit that one. That is in Congress.gov. That is, let me see, where you at, baby? Okay, HR 431, Life at Conception Act. We still got time to get to this shit and put an end to this before it even gets back to the Senate to try to become a fucking law, because these guys are crazy. The two actions on this bill was introduced January 20th, 2023, right? By Representative Mooney Alexander, committee, the House of Judiciary, right? On January 20th, 2023, I'm giving you all the actions, right? It was introduced to the House. On the same day, the same bill was referred to the House Committee on Judiciary, right? Which is the committee this dude belongs to, who sponsored this bill. So it hasn't moved since then. Very good, I'm glad. But you still can go on to Congress.gov, create an account, log in, and then when you read the summary of the bill and you read the section to the right of the bill overview, it says move on this bill. In that area, right, you have some of the Constitution laws, statements, activity that was taken on the bill. You also have like subjects on the bill that include like civil rights sometimes, different liberties, minority issues over in that section, right? Read all that. But most importantly, there will be another space just above this area, right? That the move on the bill, where it will be a constituent vote, yay or nay. Vote nay to this shit. We don't need none of these bills. This House, this majority of Republicans House, and currently majority Republican Senate, because they're trying to make all types of bills to make it where this country only allows white rich men to have any say in what goes on in the country, and everybody else gets the crumbs that falls from their table. I say fuck that with a credible sick dildo. Fuck that with a sick dick, the sickest dick of all sick dicks. Fuck them, okay? This is bullshit. This is not what people gave their lives and died for in this country. And this shit should not be tolerated. It should not be allowed to go on. And like I said, going back to the first video, you don't have to take to the streets. All you got to do is take to the computer, inform yourself, educate yourself, contact your representative, and blow their fucking ear off and let them know, you better not vote for that shit. You better not vote for that shit. Listen, I'll vote against you. I will vote against you in the very next election. Stand up for me, do your job, represent me, protect me, goddammit. I don't want this bill. Now, you ain't got to say it as guttural as that. You write a nice little email explaining why you don't agree with this bill, and you can add in your other personal options if you want to, and then let them know, please, I would appreciate if you would protect your constituent by voting no or nay to this bill. It is fundamentally harmful to the society and to your constituents. Period. You can put it nice, wrap it up nice in a beautiful bow, but still be very, very firm about your disagreement or disapproval with this bullshit. Because that's exactly what it is. Bullshit. Life don't begin at conception. Not at all. And don't forget, there is a such thing as hysterical pregnancies. They never talk about that either. Like, people really be pregnant and not be pregnant. It is a mental thing. They know this, but they don't talk about this either. And they also know that there are women out here in this world that literally have 2 sets of DNAs in their body. Yeah? So, one set could say, yeah, let's get pregnant. The other set goes, no, fuck that, no, we not. And that also happens. But you don't never hear them talking about that now, do you? Because they don't really want you to know just how powerful the body is and all of the different variations every different woman in this country can experience. And that shit is real. All right, y'all, I got to go now because I've been talking way too long. But please, get on this shit. The SAVE Act done already passed in the House. Bother your senator. Don't let him sleep. Don't let her sleep. Let him know. You vote no. Vote no on this bullshit. Vote no on SAVE Act. Vote no on Life at Conception Act. Both senators and Congress people. No, 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 no. Later, y'all.